Okay, it says that I'm live now. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday, July 14th. I cannot believe that it's the middle of July already. It's just been crazy, right? So, let me adjust the camera here. So, sorry, I'm in a totally new place. I'm actually working from central Pennsylvania right now, and my father-in-law had shoulder replacement surgery, and so I'm here to help out a little bit while he's healing for this first week. And then I will be back in Michigan, catching up and running some fundraisers, and looking forward to planning the and executing on the second half of the year for most of my clients. But the reason that I'm coming to you live today is to talk a little bit about what happens next after you have email addresses. So I get this question a lot. Okay, I have email addresses, I know who I can send to, but now what, right? So I think that the important thing to remember is that email marketing is extremely important to your business and lead generation. It's reliable, it's inexpensive, it's effective, and it has one of the highest ROIs of any marketing tactic out there. Some say $38 for every dollar you spend, some say $42 for every dollar you spend. It's pretty huge as to what you can get. Now, I'm working on launching a complete guide to email marketing for beginners, and so I will let you know when that's available. So be on the lookout for that. But really, what we're looking at doing here is converting subscribers or people that signed up for your email list to leads. So the first thing that you need is an email marketing system. And that is because you want to be CAN spam compliant, GDPR compliant, if that applies to you, CASL compliant, which is the Canadian anti-spam legislation. All of these things really require you to have a an email marketing system to stay compliant and to stay away from fines. So that's really important. Now, in the world of email marketing, in addition to having a email marketing system, I really think that you need to have a purpose. So I recently started a podcast, so you can find that. I'll put the link on the screen at imperfectmarketing.kendracorman.com. So let's see if I can find it here. Okay, I have it saved. Imperfectmarketing.kendracorman.com. So be sure to take a look at that. This week I interviewed Liz Wiggins, who is an amazing person, and she talked a lot about how active listening really matters in her business. And I hope that this air conditioning unit is not too loud for you guys. So really what you want to do is so when I created this podcast, one of the first things that I did is figured out what I wanted to do. How did I want to serve my audience? So once you've picked out an email marketing system and you have a list, I want you to think about how you're going to serve your audience. What kind of content are you going to give them? That's really what's important here, because email is not about sending people spam. It's about serving your audience. It's about answering the questions that they have. It's about giving them free advice. It's about giving them everything that they need to do what they're doing better, right? And dealing with what they're struggling with. So that's always important. Couple things to think about. So your subscribers should know what you're trying to do and what you're going to provide them with. So when they opt in, make sure that your sign up form has that. They need to know how often you're going to send to them. They need to know what kind of content you're going to send to them. And I always like to make sure that there's some kind of exclusive content available to my email subscribers only. So sometimes that's a downloadable, sometimes that's additional content that I don't post anywhere else. That's tips and information that I don't post anywhere else. Things like that. So once you know what that purpose is, you want to welcome people to your email list. If you're sending monthly, like a lot of professional service firms I recommend do, I would say monthly is the least frequent that I would recommend sending an email. If you have an online business, I would say daily to weekly is better. Yes, daily, probably not for all businesses, definitely not mine, but daily does work for some businesses. So when you're welcoming people to your email list, I want you to think about introducing yourself and talking about the kind of content that they're going to get. Then send another email that invites them to your social media, and give them value, again, at every step of the journey. And then get to know them and say thanks. That's huge. Let them know that you appreciate that they tuned in for you, right? Now, there's two other main types of emails. There's the newsletter, and then there's the sales email. I really recommend that you don't sell all the time on social media. It's an 80-20 rule. At least 80% of the time you should be adding value and 20% of the time selling. Sometimes I even push that to 100% of the time adding value, because as you're adding value, you're actually selling. You should always be adding value and giving your subscribers time to understand and get better with what they're doing, right? So, but then you can also, again, for newsletters, keep them up in the loop for updates or deals. Educate them on topics related to your services or products. I have notes over here, so sorry when I'm looking away. Share funny or motivational stories. People love stories, right? You can include all of that in your newsletter. One of the, I would say, most interacted with newsletter articles that I do every year for quite a few of my clients is we do a recipe around Thanksgiving. So when we're doing a Thanksgiving recipe, a lot of people write back and will say, oh, I tried it. Or if they see that person in a meeting coming up, they'll say, hey, by the way, love that recipe. We tried it on Thanksgiving and it was fantastic. Little fun things like that can also add a little bit of your personality and service into your email newsletter. And then again, for sales emails, offer a free clarity call or discovery call. You can share testimonials. You can share about a particular service and how it works. There's just a ton of different things that you can do. So think about how you're engaging with people and how you're working, and what kind of content you're sending. Writing your email gets easier once you start with your purpose of how you're going to serve your audience. Notice I'm not saying what to send your audience. I'm saying, how are you going to serve them? I started my company to serve small businesses and nonprofits and make sure that they had the same level of marketing expertise and resources that the big companies did. I worked for one of the most iconic brands in the world. And I took what I learned there and I apply it every day with all of my clients. And I wanted to serve an audience that didn't have access to those resources. And the 50 and 60 plus agency teams I managed through across 5 different agencies, a small business just can't swing that. And so my goal was always to make sure that people got the information that they needed to do the level of marketing that they wanted to do that was going to make a difference in their business. So just something to think about there. You want to think about a ton of different ways to serve your audience, but one of the most important ones is segmenting your list. Now, this is much easier done in the beginning than in the middle or the end. So as you have that list of people, and whether it's a big list or a small list, I want you to think about how you're going to talk to each of those groups. So even if you're going to start with one email newsletter to everybody on your list, which a lot of people do, and that's okay, think about if there's articles. Sorry, that turned on again. Think about if there's articles that you can share with them, or if you can take a slight different variation a couple different times a year, but tag them in those categories early to clean that all up. One of the things that I think is important is separating people between nonprofit and for-profit. I do this with a couple of clients, and their engagement on their emails goes through the roof. So you've got this list of emails, you picked an email marketing system, and now you have a purpose, right? You've got a reason why you're sending. And I want you to think about the different groups that are in there, because now you're going to segment that list. And again, maybe you only have 10 people. Maybe you have 20, maybe you have 50, maybe you have 7,000. It doesn't really matter how many people you have on your email list. Start as early as possible segmenting your audience. Maybe it's for profit and nonprofit. So again, nonprofits, I have a tendency to send a lot of different things around, headed into early fall, headed into the end of the year giving season, tips and things like that for them to increase their donations, the donations that they receive through the holiday season. But again, I really want you to think about, how can you segment your list? Are there different size customers? Are there customers that are interested in email marketing and not interested in email marketing? Are there customers that are, or subscribers that are bigger or smaller, or referral partners? There's a million different ways that you can tag people differently in your email marketing system. And I want you to think about how you're going to do that so that you can segment them and customize the message that you send to them. I think it's really, really important. And then, like, those are really the first few steps once you have an email list. And then you can go ahead and get a little bit more sophisticated and start mapping out email automation and looking at your metrics and things like that. But I really wanted to talk to you on how to get started. So I use Constant Contact. You can learn more at kendracorman.com/constant-contact. But I use Constant Contact and I love it. They've really invested in the system over the last few years. I am checking out a few other systems. I've used MailChimp, Emma, ExactTarget, a lot of them over the years, and they all fit different people for different reasons. So I would love to chat with you a little bit about what email marketing system you're looking to do, and to see if you have the right one for your needs, and tell you a little bit about the pros and cons of each of them, because they all have pros and cons, which is why they all exist, right? And then, again, get your email list, get your email system, determine your purpose. What are you going to serve? And then start segmenting your audience, and then start sending email newsletters, sales emails, community engagement emails. All of those work. But the most important part is to listen to your audience and provide them content that adds value. If you're unsure, like, what direction you're going to be going with your content, you can always go ahead and download my 5 hacks. Let's see, we'll pull that link up. You can always download my 5 hacks handout, downloadable at kendracorman.com/5 hacks, where I give you information all about different ways to find out what people are searching for online. So free sources that will help you really find out where the conversation is going, what questions people are asking about your product or services or topic, so that you can make sure that you're serving your audience well. So I hope this helps. I've gotten a few questions from people asking, like, really, what's my next step? All right, I've got an email list. I'm ready to go, I think, but what's next? So I hope that this helps you a little bit with your email marketing journey. And if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me. I'd love to hear directly from you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And you can always drop any comments in the actual replay if you're watching this on replay, or live if you're watching this on live. I'd be happy to see you. Thanks again, and have a great week.